What do you think
I'm
the gains are if you did the 100 shot?
Shaka on the beats. Shaka on the beats. Shaka on the beats.
What is going on, guys? So I am with Frostbite Ram, and he has quite a bit of experience with nitrous, and a lot of you guys have been bringing this up that it's a great bang for the buck, and it's a modification that I don't really know too much about. So we are going to bring Frostbite Ram on here. He has a ram that is currently cammed. He is putting on some long tube headers, and he runs a nitrous setup. And so my objective, my goal here is to ask him a bunch of questions and yeah, just learn a little bit about nitrous. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
So what exactly is the setup that you have on your RAM at the moment?
As far as the nitrous goes, I'm running the Nitrous Express plate kit, and that plate is adjustable. It has I'm running one stage currently on it right now. The plate is actually set up. You can run two stages if you want, but the plate is adjustable from, I believe, like 50 to 400 horsepower if you build a motor to hold it.
Okay, and so when you're using the nitrous at a certain RPM, what do you get like a certain shot, and then how exactly does the nitrous work? Because I'm sure a lot of people think like Fast and the Furious. You know, you press the little
Right.
button, and then you know it's your go juice.
Right.
How exactly does it actually work in real life?
In real life, I mean, it's definitely not like Fast and the Furious. You're not going to see flames shooting out of the tailpipes and whoa, the floor pans fall off and all that kind of crazy shit. But it's definitely fun. You'll feel a punch. You know, it's kind of like the best way I describe it is like a downshift. You know, like you got the gas pedal floored, and you feel your car like it's everything it has, and then it kicks on, and it's like another gear. Like it just throws you back a little bit, and you definitely feel it. It's a great little
So,
punch.
like, does the nitrous shoot in at a certain miles per hour and a certain RPM or something along
How the
those
majority
lines?
of it works, and how my system works, per the rules and most of nitrous kits, they want you to activate it usually at about 3,000 RPM. That way you have enough of a vacuum coming through your intake to be able to suck in the nitrous and the fuel, and it go through the combustion chambers and burn properly, so you don't get what they call like a backfire, nitrous backfire, that sort of thing. Um, you can punch it right off the line. The biggest thing is, just having the proper tune, the proper setup, stuff like that. But for the most part, there's lots of ways to turn it on, like a window switch, or you just flip a switch when you think you're ready. But normally, to be safe, 3,000 RPM, flip the happy button, and you're good to go.
With your nitrous, do you have to alternate the tunes or whatnot? If you're going to the track and you want to run the nitrous, you got to load up a different tune, or do you?
Um,
How does that work?
it can go, yes, for if you want to run enough to really get some good, bang for the buck and some track numbers. Yes, you do got to change tunes. If you're running like a 75 shot, you can run. I've ran a 100 shot on a stock engine with a stock tune, no custom tunes whatsoever. Just run premium gas, 93 octane, or some octane boosters, or get some race gas at the track or whatever, just mix in there. usually 75 to 100 shot or less, you can run on a factory car with a factory tune. The most thing, like I said, the gas, the 93 octane premium gas is the biggest thing. And then spend the money in Kohler spark plugs, like one-step Kohler spark plugs. And you really don't have to have any tuning for anything 100 or less, technically.
What do you think the gains are if you did the 100 shot?
So with Nitrous Express, and that's the one I've ran the most on every car I've had in the past. And I have a video that kind of details that out a little bit, but they rate their horsepower gains basically to the tires. So if you put the 100 shot jets in your nozzle or your plate, however, whatever your system runs, you put 100 shot jets in there, you're going to usually get 100 horsepower to the tires, or really like 103, 104. It puts it to the tires per the way they rate it.
That's a big time gain for the amount of money that you're spending.
For sure. And if you watch some videos of people dynoing, like nitrous cars with per se, Nitrous Express, usually they see more horsepower and torque than advertised. It's really a mod to the tires. And that's where some people, they'll get ahead of themselves sometimes and not realize that. So like how I've figured it out, 100 shot per their instructions, 100 shots really about $1.25 flywheel horsepower. So it's a little bit more. That's how they're getting it 100 to the tires. So in theory, the more you go up, you got to kind of think about what's actually the flywheel is seeing there.
Okay. And so, this leads me to a question about my car. Now, your truck has been, it like goes to the drag, you go to the drag strip often, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so would you recommend a person that never visits the drag strip to really get into nitrous? Is that something that should stay on the track, or do you think that it's something that's safe or can be used properly on the streets?
I 100% agree it can be used safe on the streets. Anybody can use it. It's just your ability to read and follow the rules, just like with anything. I mean, if you put a supercharger or a blower on your car, there's rules you got to follow, tuning and spark plugs and gas and all that kind of stuff. If you don't do that, it's not going to be good. And if you don't do it with nitrous, it's not going to be good. The best way to put it is people blow up motors. Nitrous and blowers usually don't. It's people. So
yeah,
that's the
you're
way
right.
to look at it. If you do what you're supposed to do and stay within, the boundaries of what you have, you should be fine.
Okay. And so how much is like a Nitrous Express? Because right now I'm looking into blowers, and forging the internals, it really starts to add up. Like for me to gain 100 wheel horsepower with forced air, you're talking, $8,000 to $10,000. If you're getting like a legitimate setup, not just some chintzy little thing that you piece together. What are we looking at for that 100 wheel horsepower using Nitrous Express? As far as how much?
Right. Yeah. So if you go, and I mean, you have I'll start from the bottom. They have many kits. You have a dry kit, you got a wet kit, and you have a plate, a plate kit, and you got direct pour. Okay. Dry is just one little nozzle that shoots nitrous into your intake. And there's no fuel involved. It uses the fuel system that your car already has, which is like the fuel injectors. I personally do not recommend dry kits. They're typically for like 75 horsepower or less, because as anyone with boost or nitrous goes, your stock fuel system can only supply so much. So when you start asking it to supply more fuel for another modification, it can only handle so much. So stay away from dry, is my opinion. You want a wet kit, which is going to mix nitrous and fuel together and be sprayed into the intake and be thoroughly burned through the whole thing there. So a wet kit, you can get a nozzle kit, which is just a little nozzle, has like two two fittings on it. You got like a nitrous hose, you got your fuel hose, and then that nozzle just screws into your intake tube, or if it was direct port, you'd have, say on an 8-cylinder, you'd have 8 of those nozzles screwed into each runner on the intake. And basically, a cheap nozzle kit, wet kit, you can get $500–600. And usually it's adjustable between 50 to 300 horsepower. Sometimes you can get them up to about 400. The plate kit is kind of the best one for the money, and it's kind of in the middle of everything. So it's kind of like a throttle body spacer, if anyone's familiar with that. It's just a plate, it's like an inch thick, mounts between the throttle body, and it's got a bunch of holes drilled in it. One side usually has, say, 4 or 6 holes in it, and that's for the fuel. And then the other side has the nitrous in it. So when they spray together, it meets and gets atomized and goes through the intake. That seems to work really good on pretty much anything. It mixes really well. The Hemis really love it. The plate kits that Nitrous Express has, they got a video of it being sprayed and atomizing.
Okay, and so how much does this wet kit cost?
So a plate kit, I spent, it was right at about $950, and I got a 15-pound bottle. I opted for the bigger bottle. Usually they come with a 10-pound bottle.
So about $1,000 for
under $1,000 if you want some extra goodies, yeah.
And was the installation a big to-do? Did you install it? Did you have a shop do it?
I installed it. It's actually very easy. If you can hook up a stereo or change the head unit out in your car, you can hook up nitrous. It's pretty easy. Comes with very detailed instructions, and it's literally just, the hardest thing about it is the wiring. That's why I said if you can change out your head unit and put an aftermarket radio in your car, you can probably hook up nitrous.
Could you set it up so that at let's just say 4,000 RPMs you get a 20 shot, at 6,000 RPMs you get a 70 shot, and work your way up through the RPM range so that you would be able to just gradually get to that 100 shot rather than hitting a certain speed or a certain 100 RPM and then getting that huge boom. Is that something that is common, doable, or is it just you get to a certain speed, RPM, your nitrous kicks in and you're off? Right.
Yes, there's many ways around to do that, and yes, you can have like different stages. Like I said, my plate kit is capable of running 2 stages. So if I wanted to set it up, I could say run a 50 shot or 75 shot right off the line. So as soon as I, green light, bam, I got 50 or 75 horsepower shot of power instantly. And then say, down the track, once I get second, third gear or halfway down the track, I can bump in the second stage of say 100, 150 or 200 or whatever it is that, you have your vehicle or your engine set up to be able to handle. But yeah, you definitely can add multiple stages, and the big shot guys that actually use it for racing on TV, as a lot of us probably watch that show. Them guys are running 3 kits or 3-4 stages just to make an 1/8 mile pass. And so yeah, I mean it's very cheap fun, and it definitely works.
Okay. So what is better in your opinion? A supercharger or a nitrous kit?
Okay, so that is a very good question. And I've had both. I came, I'm a Mopar guy. I've had many Fords. I've had many Mustangs. I've had a Ford Lightning, and we all know the Lightning comes with a nice little Eaton blower on top that likes to whine. That was a very fun truck. So nitrous, it depends on your budget. As we all know, like you said, 8–10 grand for boost. Okay. So nitrous, if you can't afford 8–10 grand, you can get 100 horsepower, 150 horsepower safely, and go to the track and compete with guys with blowers or faster cars for under $1,000. So that's hard to beat. The drawback to nitrous is it's a bottle. It runs out. So, the more you use it, once you use it up, you got to go get your bottle filled. And I refill my own tank, but the going rate for nitrous per pound is usually about $5 to $7 a pound. depending on where you're at. It's about 5 or 6 here, I think, right now. So, you know, if you got a 10-pound bottle, you can expect, you know, depending on where you're at, $50 to $70 to refill it every time you need it. And at the track, you know, if you're running, say, 100 shot and a 10-pound bottle, you can probably get, I'd say, 4 good passes out of 100, out of a 10-pound bottle running about 100 shot. Obviously, the more
So
nitrous,
you're filling it up often if you're really running your car on the weekends.
yeah, if you're racing a lot, or you're playing a lot on the street, whatnot, having fun with it, you're gonna go through it, and it's kind of like, you know, a gas tank. You got to refill it all the time, so you have money involved there. It still takes a long time to equate to that $10,000 supercharger kit, but it does add up there. So that's the drawback is you got to refill it, so you have constant money refilling it. The blower, as we all know, you always have the power. It's always there. It's always on your car. And here's where I think the biggest difference is the blower creates, as we all know, a lot of heat. It's always on the car. So you always have that extra strain on your engine if it's a daily driver, okay? Nitrous has no strain whatsoever on your engine. It's completely bone stock, drives just like it was until you turn on the kit. So you have no gas mileage decrease or change. And it's perfect for that guy that has a daily driver that just wants to go to the racetrack and compete, but he has a, you know, a small budget. It's impossible to beat it. Honestly, it's impossible to beat it for those you know, for that right. That's the way I look at it.
Beautiful. No, that sums it up perfectly. All right, man. You know, you want to close it out. You want to tell everybody about your channel, and I know I've been following it for, you know, 4 or 5 months or something like that, and I've seen the progression of your Ram. But for those that, you know, haven't come across your channel, you want to give the closing thoughts or a little bit about your channel?
Yeah, I mean, like he said, guys, I mean, it's a new channel. It's a new channel. We're growing. There's a lot to go, you know, on the truck still. There's a lot of new footage that still got to get done. We've done a lot of modifications in the last couple weeks that we haven't even tested on yet and got new video footage yet. So definitely, you know, check it out, guys. You know, watch the content, look for new stuff that's going to be coming down on the truck. And, you know, like my channel, kind of like RT Life, you know, it's not just for trucks. It's anything Mopar, anything, you know, RT, Hemi, Dodge. It don't matter what you have. If you like, you know, Dodge or Mopars, or you got a Hemi, you're going to learn something, whether it's, you know, my pickup truck or a car. It's, you know, same engines more or less in those vehicles. So, you know, check the channel out, and man, I check out your channel a lot, watch your video, and you are by far the man on the Hemi and the Mopar stuff, man. You do a great job, and you're going to be impossible to beat, man. I appreciate what you do for the Mopar guys out there.
Thanks, brother. All right, guys. So you know what? You heard it from the Nitrous man himself. His channel is going to be in the description. Definitely go check out what he's doing over at Frostbite. And man, that thing's a monster.